movie begins with a woman and we see her standing on the bridge and she was trying to get out of the crowd of people to go to her daughter. But suddenly the fence tilted and the bridge broke with her and she fell in pain, and at that moment her logo started to fall and her body started to erode. And now we go back to 2 days before these events and we learn about a person named Michael and we see him going home. His wife, whose name is Karen, or we know that he is Karen, has a problem with her leg. She cannot walk on it and they go to the hospital. Karen even has an operation on her leg and she goes back to walking like before. At this moment we get to know Michael's daughter, whose name is Salma, or we know that Michael is separated from his first wife, who is Salma's mother, and whose name is Ailes, and Salma was studying in a boarding school and they were the students. They played a video of her father and bullied him. When she heard their words, she became upset, and when they repeated their behavior, she became angry and took the girl who was bullying her father, dropped her phone on the ground, and she tried to make her think that she was eating horse droppings. But at the last moment one of the trainers came and he was after Salma about the girl, and the school called Salma's mother and the principal told her about what Salma had done to her classmate Feliz. She took her daughter home and told her, "This is the girl. I bothered you again. Call me and I will deal with her." She told her to call my father. "I want to go." Today, indeed, Salma went to see her father and they wanted to watch the match, and when her father Salma got up, she turned the television on the news channel, or they were saying on the news that on the coast of Colombia, acid rain was beginning to cause the death of animals, or it was also beginning to cause the death of people, and some people there were not able to protect themselves because of the rain. This causes corrosion of the skin and eyes, and it also began to cause corrosion of the respiratory tract. So Michael came and turned off the television and told her that what the news said was ridiculous. Their goal is to get ads and views, and this is something in return for scaring people. The second day, Elise took her daughter to school, and then she went to work, and her friend told her that there was an imminent danger because of the acid rain. Elise was afraid for her daughter, Salma, so she called Michael and told him that I am afraid for my daughter, and we must go get her from school. Then Michael came and took Ailes, and they went to Maud to get Salma when they arrived from school. Al quickly went down to the Maud to get her daughter, and at that moment the radio channels started warning people that the city was going to close down because the acidity levels were causing anxiety and tension among the people, and there were creatures coming to die, and they seemed to fear that the situation would get worse, so people had to close down and isolate themselves in their homes, and if they were exposed to acidic rain, it would be necessary. They removed the contaminated clothes and called the emergency services immediately. At that moment, Elise came and Salma told her that we were taking her to the stable, and we had to go to her quickly. On the way, the cars were crowded and the roads were closed. My mouth was empty. He turned the car and left the forest road. He found that the forest road was blocked, so he went down and looked for Salma and entered the stable. But he did not find her. Or she took the car and entered the forest. And here Salma came back running to her father's split, and they quickly entered the barn. As for Michael, he called Ellis and told her that it was us in the big barn. Viles brought the car, and I, Salam, and Mikal got up and walked in the car, but they found the road blocked. Viles thought he got out of the crowd, or they entered the parking lot of a supermarket, and Isles called her friend Bryce and he told her to go east because the clouds were heading to the north, and they took the car and got out, and when it was night, they stopped the car or got out to a restaurant on the road, and the restaurant was empty. Call me Karen, and he told her about the situation, and then he went to look for the water and open the mullet. Or he wanted to make sure whether the water was safe to drink or what was in it with this acid. At that moment, the cat left his mouth, and my mouth was empty. He left the water of the mullet for the cat so he could see if the water was drinkable or not, and Salma came. She told him that this cat is not a guinea pig, and she took the water and emptied it in the sink, and then they put food in the refrigerator while they were away. They finished eating and went to sleep, and at night Salma woke up and started looking for the cat, but she found it dead, so she quickly returned and fell asleep with her mother. When morning came, they left the place and began to walk in a safe way to reach the place. So they walked and reached the bridge, and there was crowding and people were crowded. Among the people, Ellis, I thought he had come out. Those who remained, Salma, Micah, and Ellis, were shouting at Salma and wanting she took her and her. But the policeman pushed her and she went to the end of the bridge. But the bridge began to collapse and she came back running. But the people were blocking the road. She was trying to get in between them, but the fence broke. She leaned over the bridge and fell in pain and fell. She collapsed when she saw her mother falling, and she went down running to get it, but Michael did not let her go. She goes because if she goes into water, her body will erode and she will die, and then her hair starts to fall out because of the acids present. Pommy, Michael, and Salma wanted to watch her die, or they couldn't do anything to her. Then Michael went to charge a phone and called Carrie, and she told him that they were going to move the hospital again. He told her, "I'm going to find a way to get home and come to you." And Michael quickly took Salma. They boarded the convoy, but on the road the convoy stopped because the road was blocked and they had to walk on their feet, and the people were gone. He walked through the forest and they kept walking, and Salma got tired and fell to the ground with her people, and she started walking again, but the people who were walking with them suddenly disappeared, or the road remained empty, and we know that they were in a darker place, so they kept walking and came out from the other side and continued walking until they saw Rahim's house. They knocked on the door, but no one came out, so he went back to looking for another safe place, which he wanted. He walked and fainted. So he started screaming and asking for help, and then a woman came and entered her house. Her name is Deborah, and she has a son named William. Salma saw in the woman's house a device covered with nylon, and when she lifted the cover, Deborah came and blindfolded her and told them to quickly get out of my house. He told her that the situation was bad outside. We couldn't go out, and Nan Michael took the device to the basement, so she told him, "I'm going to spend the night here, my son, and I have a place for you if you want to stay tonight." Hanan said to him, "I don't have water and eating is a hobby. We should reduce the mood. It is enough for us." Then Deborah and Leanne slept in the basement and left the device for him and a ladder. I asked her why she left this device for him, Deborah. She said to her, "Because her kidneys are not good, and I cannot point out to me the device." They gave him a new kidney, and then Michael prepared the place where they would sleep, and Salma told him that it was, and Deborah said that it was, "How many days will we be able to stay here?" He told her, "We can't stay here any longer because there is no food, or I have to go to Karen's because she needs us." He greeted him and said to him, "Karen needs you, you don't need me. I will stay here." Then they sat down to have dinner, and Michael told Salma that we are leaving. "We eat this meal and sleep, and we have to get out as soon as possible," and Deborah said, "You also have to get out of here, because your house was destroyed." They went to sleep with Maud, and Deborah quickly locked the basement and went to sleep with her son. At that moment, acid began to come out from everywhere in the house, and suddenly Salma sat down, and she and Michael went to the basement with Maud sitting, William and Deborah, so they knocked on the door, but Deborah was sleeping and did not hear anything, and at that moment the house began to collapse, and he quickly took Salma, left her in the car, and left quickly. On the way, the car stopped, my mouth went down, and then Salma got out, and Michael saw that the acid was starting to spread widely in the world. He went in the car to check on Salma, but he did not find her in the car, and we know that she started running and got lost in the car, and she started screaming and asking for help, and Michael took the car and started. He looked around for it, and the car got stuck in the mud. After he was unable to move it, he was unable to open the car door, so his money came out of the window. The car, and he went to Salma while she was riding on a broken machine, so he put her on his back and climbed onto the car and fainted. Quickly, Salma pulled him or her onto the car, and she kept screaming and asking for help, but no one could hear her. When morning came, a rescue team came and took them, and their Salma started asking about Karen. When they asked her name, they told her that Karen had died from acid water, so they were safe. She came back, and Michael asked her if she could get to Karen's. She couldn't tell her father that Karen had died because he was in a situation that was not permissible. She told him, "I didn't talk to her because I couldn't get to the hospital." She said, "What's the matter with her? I will contact her again and give you the news." Indeed, he agreed and was convinced, and she remained silent. Her father was in the hospital and she was not reassured about his condition, but no one knew what was the treatment for this acid and what caused it. This is how the world is when the end of the movie will be.